Great horned.
Great horned, yep. This is a great horned owl. We name birds all kinds of weird stuff. Obviously those aren't horns. But this is a great horned owl, very common. It's like the red-tailed hawk of the owl world. Lots of them around, so we probably don't even know how many there are because they're a pretty common bird. But when do owls hunt? Or at nighttime, and so a number of owls are truly nocturnal and hunt in the middle of the night, like barn owls and boreal owls will do that. Some hunt during the day even. Snowy owls are known for hunting during the daytime. This kind of an owl is something we call crepuscular, and that means it hunts more at sunrise and sunset. And so that's when you're more likely to see them, or when you're more likely to hear them vocalizing. And so this is the one that people call and complain in like February because they're hooting away at like sunrise in the middle of the winter. So that's when they're much more active. Now you'll notice because she's hunting when it's a little darker outside, she has features that make her different than that first bird. So first thing I notice on a bird like this is their eyes. And I had this skull out earlier, and she was hoping this was food. But you can see a couple things from there. You see how big their eyes are. Their eyes go in these holes right here, obviously. And their eyes actually take up about half of their head. That is how big their eyes are. Huge eyes let in a lot of light. They also have a lot more rods on their retina than cones. Rods are good for low light vision. Cones are good for color. So they probably don't see very much in color. They're not completely colorblind, but not good color vision, but they have really good low light vision. So an owl like this, you could put them in the Metrodome and make it completely dark, and they would just need like the light from one candle to fly around by. That would be enough light for them. Like I said, those huge eyes are amazing. The other thing you'll notice is that her head actually ends where her eyes do, on the top and on the side. And so anything that's above that or off to the side of that, that's just fluff, you know, a little bit of skin, but she's a lot of feathers. So if I stuck my finger in there, and she would not like it if I did that, so I'm not going to do that, but my finger would kind of disappear. My finger would kind of disappear in there. So her skeleton is actually much, much smaller than you would be able to tell from her body, looking at her body. All right, so they've got those really big eyes, but we can do something this owl can't do. And we can look up and down and right and left. We can move our eyes around in our head. If you watch her, her eyes are pretty much stuck straight forward on her face. So what is she doing? She's turning her head, yep. Can she go all the way around?
Well, not like keep going,
yeah.
but...
I know, my manager always says, well, they would unscrew it if they did that. But they can go pretty far. You can see that she's backward right there. If she starts in the front and starts turning to the right, I mean, I can do this. That's pretty much all. But she could do that. She could look behind herself, and then she could look over this other shoulder. So she can go about 3/4 of the way around. That's 270 degrees. All of the birds have a fairly flexible neck. Even eagles can look behind themselves, but the owls are able to go a bit further. So she needs to do that to be able to see around her. It also helps them to be able to preen the feathers on their back. They have to take really good care of their feathers. And so being able to turn her head like that is really helpful to her. The reason she can do that, we have 7 bones in our neck. She has 14 bones, and the bones in her neck are shaped a little bit differently. That was, so that they rotate a little bit better, and her head is only attached in one place right in the middle instead of on both sides. So it's almost like a little pivot. I mean, they can do this, they can turn it sideways really easy. You'll see pictures of owls and their heads are like upside down. It's pretty amazing, very flexible neck. You gonna stretch it and demonstrate for us? So good low light vision, flexible neck. Can she see in complete darkness? No, their eyes work like ours do. They're better, but there still has to be some light going in and bouncing off your retina in order to see something. If there's no light, there's nothing to see. But they actually have another sense that they can use to hunt. So what other sense might they use when they're hunting?
Ears.
Their ears, yeah, their hearing. Are those ears?
No. Well, those are feathers.
No, those are just feathers. You can see them blowing around. She can go up and down. They kind of look like ears, but they're not ears. Her ears are actually on the side of her head, just like ours are. If you look at, it's kind of a dark line right on the edge of her face.
Oh, yeah.
And her ears are behind that. I can actually see she's got the feathers up a little bit, but you can kind of peel that forward and look inside of their ear. And it's really cool. You can actually see the back of their eye if you look in their ear.
Whoa.
Too bad I can't do that because it's pretty neat, but very good hearing.
Eyeball.
And she has something we call asymmetrical hearing. And in this particular kind of an owl, they have one ear that's higher and one that's lower. So if you look at the skull, you can't see from looking at her feathers, but if you look at their skull, you can see that it's shaped so that the bone is, there's one up here and there's one that's down further on the other side. And what's the advantage of that?
Hearing both high and low.
Yeah, you can tell, so not only, we can tell if something is on the right side or the left side, because we have a right ear and a left ear, but she can also tell if a sound is above her or below her. So they turn their head until they get the same sound in both ears, they get the same volume, same arrival time, and that means they're looking directly wherever the sound came from. And so it's not a slow process, it's bam. I mean, they can judge the difference, very, very small differences. And so they can actually locate something completely based on sound. Owls like this can stick around in the winter. Even if there's a foot of snow on the ground, and you know, like mice like to tunnel around under the snow, they can hear a mouse running under a foot of snow and can fly right to the spot where the mouse is, based just on the sound. And I saw a great gray owl do this once. It was so cool. It was standing on a post, and then poof, it plunged down into the snow and came out with a little bowl. Yeah, it's pretty scary to be a mouse in this world. And so they have that amazing ability to do that. And actually, I've heard people say, I haven't seen any myself, but if you're walking through a field, you can sometimes see the imprint of an owl in the snow. They like these little owl angels or something. But you'll look at the body and the little wings, and you can see where the feet went in. So they're amazing, amazing hunters. Now, she doesn't have an ear flap like I do, right? But she has something that helps her hearing as well. She has a facial disc, that curved area of feathers on her face. Almost looks like a satellite dish in a way. It's kind of curved a little bit. And it's supposed to help send sound towards her ears to help her locate her prey. Now this owl, or owls in general, have something we call silent flight. So when they fly, people come in all the time and they're like, I was standing in my backyard and this huge bird swooped over me and I never heard it coming. And that's generally an owl. Owls are very, very quiet when they fly. So the obvious reason is that they want to sneak up on their prey, right? That's one of the things that they rely on. They're hunting when it's dark out, it's kind of quiet. They want to be very stealthy and sneak up on stuff. But the other thing is that if she's using her hearing to hunt, if she flapped and made a lot of noise, could she hear her prey running around? No, so she has to be very quiet when she flies. And because of that, her feathers are different. They're kind of softer and looser. She flaps slower. And the edge of her feathers, instead of being smooth across, it looks almost like eyelashes. It's really pretty. The edge of it's sort of frayed. And that makes the air go through it a little quieter. So very, very quiet birds. It's amazing. They can flap and you really don't even hear them at all. Right.
Are they loners? I mean, or is there usually another owl with them?
Generally speaking, these birds are not very social. And so you won't see, for the most part, you won't see groups of raptors around. In the mating season, so for them, which is really early, like January, February into spring, you'll see them with the mate and with their young. But otherwise, they don't associate with other birds. You won't see them hanging out in groups or anything like that. Just something they're really interesting. Well, she's like, where is my food? So I'll probably give her a little bit of something to eat. What would she eat? She's like, well, I'll take what's in that dish.
I
Oh,
so the main thing
see her neck moving now. She's like, hey, hey.
The main thing I mean, when we think about owls, we think of mice, right? And they will certainly eat mice, but she's also a generalist. She'll eat squirrels and rabbits and maybe snakes and some other birds and things like that. But a lot more mammals and other stuff, a lot of rodents that run around on the ground. All right, so this is a whole mouse.
Whoa.
That was super awful.
Did you guys see it?
Yeah.
It's pretty quick. She doesn't waste, some of our owls will take it and they'll hold on to it, and she doesn't waste any time. Down the hatch.
She was waiting for you.
Yeah, she doesn't there.
How much do they eat a day?
She'd probably eat about 3-4 mice, depending on the time of year. In the winter, they eat more because they have to keep their body weight up a little bit more and it's colder out. So she'll eat a little bit more then. But we generally say they eat like 10 to 40% of their body weight in a day, depending on the size of the bird. So the bigger ones eat a smaller percentage. And so let's see, she weighs, what does she weigh today? She's about 3 pounds. And
She's looking for it
right
now.
I know.
She's like,
I'm smaller than that.
What is her wingspan?
It can be about 4 feet, 3.5 to 4 feet. So they're a pretty big bird.
does she have fluff on her feet? Or?
She does, yeah. And so the part of you'll see unlike the other bird that I had out, she has feathering that goes all the way down her toes. And that is a couple of things that can help keep them warmer in the winter. and cooler in the summer. Feathers are good insulators, even in warmer temperatures. But it also helps her stay quiet because she's got that softer kind of an edge on her toes instead of that firm edge that the other birds have. All right, so can anybody tell what's wrong with this bird? Looks pretty healthy, right?
Yeah.
And this bird is actually physically healthy. There's nothing wrong with the body of this bird. There's something a little wrong with her mind. And she probably wouldn't like me saying that, but there is something definitely a little wrong with her mind. And somebody found her when she was a baby.
Oh.
And they wanted to help. A lot of times people think they're doing a good thing. Okay, sometimes maybe they want it to be a pet and they take it home, but a lot of times people think they're helping and they take the bird home and they try to take care of it. A few problems with that. It's illegal. These birds are all protected by law. And there's something called the Migratory Bird Treaty Act of 1918 that covers pretty much all birds that are native to the United States except for some game birds, you know, things like quail and things like that, which are not protected quite so much. But generally speaking, it's against the law to not only possess native birds, but you can't do anything with their nests, you can't have their eggs, you can't even have feathers from birds like this without permits. So they did a not so good thing by taking it home and trying to take care of it. But the other problem is, when she was little and her eyesight was developing, what was she looking at? Was she looking at another owl? No, she was looking at a person. So there was a person giving her food and a person giving her shelter and taking care of her. And so who do you think she thinks should feed her now?
People.
People should feed her now. And that's why she'll make some like chirpy noises and things like that. And she wouldn't normally make that. Owls don't generally make those kinds of noises to people. Those are noises they make to other owls. And so she will beg for food and she'll kind of chirp at us a little bit. And that's because she sort of has she's imprinted on people. We call it a human imprint, if that happens. Unfortunately, that's sort of a shortcut that they do when they're little. It's kind of wired into them that, okay, that's what I need to be around. And you can never undo that. You cannot get rid of it. There's no way to get rid of it. They learn that once and then it's done. And so because of that, she will stay in captivity for her lifetime.
Has she been exposed to like being around other owls and stuff?
There are other owls. She's right next to another owl.
Do
She's above them. Whatever.
Yeah, she doesn't really respond to that. She responds much more to people. In fact, we have another great horned owl. Looks very similar to her. That's also a human imprint. And every January, February, when he's looking for a mate, guess what he's looking for?
A lady.
He's looking for some people.
No.
He's looking for people, and so he starts soliciting people. It makes it interesting. It can be a little dangerous if he doesn't like you, if he thinks you're more of a threat than an attractive mate. They can, they'll fly at you and things like that. But he'll do his courtship display to us. And so he'll be hooting. He puffs up his throat really nice, and he hoots at us, and he bows. And if you bring him food, he'll offer you his mice. Because a male great horned owl would attract a female by saying, "Look what a good hunter I am. I have mice." And so he does it to us, and it's unfortunate. I mean, it's kind of cute in a way, but it's really sad because he's never going to find anybody. That's just never going to work out. And so that is why he stays at the Raptor Center. If he gets hungry and he's out in the wild, he's going to approach a person for food. If, in the springtime, he's looking for somebody, he's going to be sitting on that branch going, hey, you come over here. And that's a bad thing. And people get freaked out, especially if it's something big.